Welcome to the morning of CFFL edition, week number 10. We got a busy show for you today, so we're going to get right into the action from week 10 in the CFFL. First of all, we saw the Bone Storm move back to 500 as they took down the Donkeys, 80-52. The Donkeys now have lost 9 out of 10 this year, and a very disappointing season for them. Megatron had 12.5 in his return, so he had a good game. Des Bryant, the win off for 20.5 as the Bone Storm win and move back into the playoff picture, into the last playoff spot right now. Team LBM in their grudge match took down the Gargoyles 68.5-51.5, both teams at 5-5. Denard Robinson and Jimmy Graham combined 31 points. Tony Romo had 16.5 in losing effort for the Gargoyles. The Bernie's Bruisers took down DK's Kongs 79-69.5 due to 2 garbage time touchdowns by Kelvin Benjamin in overtime, at the end of the game on Monday night. The Kongs were looking to keep their playoff hopes alive, but those have now been dashed by the Bruisers. 79-69.5. Jordy Nelson had 20.5. Peyton Manning had a huge day for the Kongs, but not enough as they fall. In the game of the week, we saw the Badgers take down In Rogers We Trust 99.5-68. The Badgers move into the top spot right now of the playoffs. Marshawn Lynch had 33 points with 4 touchdowns. Emmanuel Sanders at 15 for In Rogers We Trust. Horn Dogs took down the Garbage Men 56-45. Big Ben and Eddie Lacy combined for 23 points. Disappointing effort for Big Ben, though, considering he's playing the Jets. And Russell Wilson had 15 for the Horn Dogs as they move into second place in the division, as the Bruisers did pass them by this week in terms of points. And finally this week we saw the Black Dingoes take down the Cardinals 77.5-60. Aaron Rodgers at 31. Eagles defense at 19 for the Cardinals. Cardinals' back is against the walls. They need to probably win out now to have any shot at the playoffs. So there you see the week that was. It was a bit of a crazy week in the CFFL. Some high-scoring games. Some quarterbacks really went off. But now let's take a look at the player of the week. As you heard me mention earlier, Marshawn Lynch had 33 points. 4 touchdowns, 23 yards receiving, 140 yards rushing, and a huge week for Beast Mode and the Badgers as they win. Walk of shame this week goes to my team, especially during the Arizona Cardinals versus St. Louis Rams game. Doing pretty well at that point. I think I was ahead by 8 points or so at that point. Cardinals looking, hopefully Carson Palmer throw a touchdown, give me about a 12-15 point lead on Rodgers. Thought, okay, should be alright as long as it wasn't Fitzgerald. It could have been Michael Floyd, but even better. So Michael Floyd sucked. He did nothing all game. He had 1 catch in the first couple minutes. And then a stretch where Carson Palmer got hurt. As soon as it happened, I said to Jenna, I think he tore his ACL, and he did. So I knew that was bad. They threw another touchdown soon after that, and it was to number 12. It looked like 15 from the distance, so I was excited. I thought it was Michael Floyd. Nope. Then a few minutes later, Arizona picked off a pass and ran it back for a touchdown. Who was Reisner's defense? That sucked. And then another 7 points happened a few seconds later as a fumble return for a touchdown. So a huge swing for that as the Black Dingoes took control of that game. Rodgers put it away, but really heartbreaking to watch that game. And so I take the walk of shame for that moment of a lot of sadness in the Weber household. Next up, we have Griff's Gripes. Griff this week is griping about the Bears and their quarterback play. Although realistically, I have to say, Griff, as a Packer fan, I wouldn't be griping about this. It's kind of a blessing to have one of the teams in your division, your biggest rival, quote unquote, just screw it up continuously. What was the product that the Bears put on the field this week? 42-0 at halftime. So much for the great rivalry of the black and blue division. Thank you, Bears, for locking up Jay Cutler for 7 years. I don't understand why it's so difficult for the Bears to get a real quarterback. Green Bay's had a stud since '92. Must be all the great owners of the Packers. Yeah, that's the reason, I guess. But yeah, it's baffling. And Cutler isn't usually that bad. But, I don't know, that was an awful performance. That was just awful. And they're locked up for a while with him until they can get out of that contract, the guaranteed money. Whenever that goes away, I think they'll probably get rid of him. Free agent picks for the week: John Brown, 73 yards receiving, 1 touchdown. Looks like he's kind of moved into the number 2 role with the Cardinals, although it'll be questionable as to what happens now with Drew Stanton taking over. Rankings this week, we did see a new number 1 as Bites' Badgers take over. In Rogers We Trust at 2, the Black Dingoes at 3, Bernie's Bruisers at 4, and the Bone Storm at 5. And finally this week, that rounds it out. The only change we saw here, Horn Dogs fall from 5 to 6, Gargoyles fall from 6 to 7, Team LBM up to 8, and the Garbage Men fall to actually a tie for 9th with the Cardinals. And that is the rankings for the week. So right now, looking at those numbers, right now the prediction is Badgers are the favorite for the Super Bowl. A pretty well-rounded team. Obviously Marshawn Lynch isn't going to do that every week, but they're going to be a tough team to knock out of the playoffs. Finally, let's look at the playoff picture. Badgers and In Rogers We Trust right now are the top seed, just separated by points, and Badgers have the lead there. Horn Dogs, Black Dingoes, and Bruisers. Actually, the Bruisers should be at 3, and the Horn Dogs should be at 5 on that. Those teams are all looking relatively set, although last year or 2 years ago, the Black Dingoes were in the same situation and dropped their last 3. So it's not out of the question of a team that could be 6 and 4 and still miss the playoffs. Also this week, in the true wild card race here is down the Bone Storm at 5 and 5. They have a ton of points on everyone, but a really tough schedule with the 7 and 3 in Rogers We Trust, 6 and 4 Black Dingoes, and the 5 and 5 Team LBM. So a very tough schedule the rest of the way. Gargoyles have the Horn Dogs, who are 6 and 4, the Cardinals, who are 4 and 6, and the Bernie's Bruisers, who are 6 and 4. So another tough schedule. Team LBM, same schedule as the Bone Storm. They don't have the points the Bone Storm have, so it might be a little tough. Easy schedule of these teams is the Garbage Men, who face the 1 and 9 Donkeys, 7 and 3 Badgers, and the 3 and 7 Kong. So they have a chance. Well, they don't put in many points, but you'll see with Andrew Luck, never know. And finally, the Cardinals, who probably have to win out. They face the 6 and 4 Bruisers, the 5 and 5 Cardinals, and the 6 and 4 Horn Dogs. Win out and probably in due to them playing the teams that are in front of them, but you never know. So that was the week. Playoff picture should be kind of cleared up a little bit next week. Cardinals lose, they're pretty much out. Garbage Men lose. Depending on how other teams do, they could be in a lot of trouble. Not officially out, but they'd be in trouble if they lose as well. Finally, let's take a look at the week ahead, and that'll be it for the show. In Rogers We Trust takes on the Bone Storm this week, 7 and 3 versus 5 and 5. And the 5 and 5 Gargoyles take on the Horn Dogs in a battle of that division. Gargoyles can reinsert themselves in the division championship race with a win there. So that's the show this week. Come back next week. We'll have take a look at the week 11 in the CFFL, and hopefully the Cardinals can take down the Bruisers. Bernie, I hope your team really struggles this week. I need a win. So good luck to everyone except Bernie. See you next week.